WWE Tough Enough was a competition reality series started by the WWE in 2001 that would follow wrestling rookies on their journey and in a contest to win a WWE contract and become the next WWE Superstar. However, throughout Tough Enough's existence, the winners of the show, for the most part, don't really go on to do anything. It's a phenomenon that is called the Tough Enough Curse, which essentially states that the runners-up or the losers of the show most of the time end up doing better than the winner of the show. And this isn't something you just see in Tough Enough, it's something you see in all sorts of reality TV shows where the runners-up always go on to do bigger and better things. Look at Tommy Fury and Molly May from Love Island, or anyone who came second place in X Factor. And apparently exists in wrestling too, so we're gonna look at every Tough Enough series and check if this phenomenon really is true or not, and if the runners-up and the losers of the show always end up doing better than the winner of the show. We're going to go through each season of Tough Enough and investigate. I'm Tom of Topton Wrestling, and let's begin this. Alright, so Season 1. This was the very first season of Tough Enough that aired on MTV, and your contestants on this show were Bobby, Chris, Christopher, Daryl, Greg, Jason, Josh, Maven, Nydia, Paulina, Shadrick, Taylor, and Victoria. So from the season, Maven and Nydia were chosen as the winners, with Chris Nowinski and Taylor as the runners-up. And these four, well, they didn't do too much in terms of after Tough Enough, other than Maven, I would say. Maven, the winner of the show, probably did the most out of anyone on this cast, being a multiple-time hardcore champion, having that moment with The Undertaker in the Royal Rumble. So in terms of wrestling career, which is what we're basing this on, no one really did more than Maven. I mean, you could argue that Josh Matthews, who was on this series, did more, but he was a commentator, not a wrestler. So I'm giving this to Maven. I'm giving this to the winner of the show. It's 1-0. Season 2 now. After looking at that Season 1 result, I'm thinking this Tough Enough Curse doesn't actually exist, but now, after looking at this cast, I can see that it very much does. In Season 2, Aaron, Alicia, Annie, Danny, Hawk, Jackie, Jake, Jesse, Kenny, Linda, Matt, Pete, and Robert all competed to earn a WWE contract. The winners ended up being Linda, who would end up as Shaniqua in the WWE, who was the valet for the Basham brothers, and Jackie Gader, who would wrestle in the WWE as Miss Jackie for a couple of years, and had notoriously one of the worst matches ever on Raw. The match is commonly referred to as that Jackie Gader match, and it is one of the worst matches ever. But the most notable runners-up on this show include Matt Morgan, who would of course go on to join the WWE and also go to TNA and have a run there, where he had on and off pushes. And then Kenny King was also on this show, who would also go on to join TNA and later Ring of Honor. This is definitely a win for the runners-up. Into Season 3, we have Chad, Eric, Jamie, Jill, John, Jonah, Justin, Kelly, Lisa, Matt, Nick, Rebecca, and Scott. The winners were John and Matt. That John being John Hennigan, who you might know as John Morrison, or Johnny TV as he's called in AEW, or Johnny Nitro as he was called when he first debuted, or Johnny Elite when he first joined AEW, or Johnny Impact when he joined Impact, or Johnny Game Changer. You get the point, you get the point. Yeah, this one is sort of a no contest win for the winners here. Johnny and Matt did more compared to the others on this list. John Hennigan, or John Morrison, of course, a multi-time champion in the WWE with singles titles and tag titles. This is another win for the winners. Then we go on to the 4th edition of Tough Enough. This was, of course, the $1 Million Tough Enough, which was used as segments on SmackDown rather than its own TV show. And your participants on this were Chris, Daniel, John, Justice, Mike, Nick, and Ryan. Daniel Puder won this series of Tough Enough after he shot on Kurt Angle. He then went into the Royal Rumble after being signed, where he got absolutely buried and then did nothing of note after that. And this is the series that has perhaps the most notable Tough Enough contestant ever with Mike Mizanin, The Miz, who was the runner-up on this series and is, of course, a former WWE champion, the only person in Tough Enough history who went on to win a WWE world title, I believe. As well as that though, this show had Nick Mitchell, who was signed to the WWE as Mitch, as part of the Spirit Squad, where hey, he at least got a tag title reign, so that's still more than Daniel Puder. And also Ryan Reeves, aka Ryback, was on this show. He was pushed as a main eventer in the WWE and has a former IC title reign to his name, so yeah, it's a win for the losers of Tough Enough this time round. We're on to Season 5, our penultimate season. We've got 2 more to go, and it's really not looking good for the winners here. This show had Andy, Luke, Jeremiah, Christina, AJ, Martin, Evilise, Eric, Ryan, Rima, Michael, Michelle, Matt, and Ariane all on the show, with Andy being the winner of the show in the end. He signed to FCW for a year, was released, and that was kind of that. In terms of runners-up, there are a lot of notable runners-up in this series. You had Martin Casaus, who was already a wrestler at the time he was in this show, and after this show, he would join Lucha Underground as Martin the Moth Martinez, where he won the world title there. You've also got Evilise on this show, who would also join Lucha Underground and enjoy title reigns there. You have Matt Cappuccino, aka Matt Cross, who had been wrestling for so long by the time he had joined Tough Enough. He had Ring of Honor titles behind his name and so much experience, and came second to last. He of course went to Lucha Underground following this show, and who can forget, in last place, Ariane, who did the most out of anyone on this series despite finishing last in the WWE. She was signed and performed as Cameron, one half of the Funkadactyls, where she infamously tried to pin someone while they were laid on their stomach. In case you're wondering, it's a point to the runners-up. It's not even close here. And now we go on to the final season of WWE Tough Enough, where we had Josh, Sarah, Amanda, ZZ, Tanner, Gigi, Chelsea, Marda, Patrick, Gabby, Daria, Diana, Alex, and Hank all compete for a contract. And the winners of the show were Josh and Sarah, Josh Bredel and Sarah Lee, and both of them unfortunately wouldn't really do anything in the WWE. They both got signed, but never really made it past the NXT live event circuit before they were released. And this season is stacked for participants. First of all, you had Mandy Rose come in second place for the women's side. She of course did a whole bunch in the WWE, obviously most notably being a former NXT Women's Champion, and she was also in a tag team called Fire and Desire alongside Daria, who was also on this series, who'd of course go on to become Sonya Deville. Then you have Chelsea Green, who is a champion in WWE today and a former Impact Knockouts champion, and then you have... okay, let's not talk about that one. Regardless though, it's another point to the losers here. They definitely did a lot more than the winners of this series in the WWE. So there you have it, final score 4-2. The only series where the winner actually did more than the losers of the show was the series that John Morrison won and the series that Maven won, the very first one. Series 1 and Series 3. But hey, on the topic of Tough Enough, I need that to come back. I think Tough Enough, now more than ever, would work perfectly. There's a great pool of people out there, whether they be indie wrestlers or athletes or just people looking to get into the WWE, that could have a really good pathway there, and the way that NXT's product is right now, I feel like it's very inviting to people who might compete on Tough Enough, and it's much easier for people from Tough Enough to transition into the WWE with the way the NXT product is now. So I think Tough Enough could work perfectly, even as just a segment on NXT. Doesn't even need to be its own show. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see Tough Enough come back, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching this one.